The poor man is doing the best he can.
He's a passionate supporter of the club. I'm pro Abramovich.
People try and distance football and sport from politics, but I think at the end of the day, some things are more important than sport.
Roman Abramovich has handed the stewardship and care of Chelsea Football Club to the trustees of its charitable foundation. But crucially, he is still the owner. Given his relationship with Vladimir Putin, we asked Chelsea fans whether they would be in favour of him being stripped of his ownership of the club. What did you make of that statement?
I think it's absolute bollocks, to be honest with you. If you remain owner of a club, you have a duty of care not only to your players and your other stakeholders, but to the fans and the greater football community to make sure that you're carrying out that duty of care. To whitewash it and just hand it over to someone else, frankly, isn't good enough.
And despite your jumper, you are a Chelsea fan.
Yes.
Would you support a decision, given what's going on with Russia invading Ukraine and Abramovich's ties to Putin, would you support a decision to strip him of his ownership of Chelsea Football Club?
I think stripping him of his ownership might be a touch too far, but I certainly think there needs to be consequences. I don't think anyone can afford to just sit on the sidelines with people actually losing their lives. I think that would be really irresponsible of all of us. Certainly if we can impose sanctions on Putin and on others that support him, then why not in this case?
The poor man is doing the best he can in a difficult situation. He was never a politician. He was asked to become governor of some province right at the east of Siberia, and he did it as a public duty, and then he more or less got out of politics and out of Russia and just asked to be left alone. And that, I think, applies to a lot of Russians living here and other places. They're not involved in this. They shouldn't be victimised.
What did you make of his decision to hand stewardship and care of the club to the trustees of the foundation?
I think it's a positive move, bearing in mind the situation we've got existing in the Ukraine.
Well, it seems to me like a PR statement. Like, look, I'm a Man United fan anyway, I'm not a Chelsea fan, but the fact he didn't say he was going to sell the club and the fact that there are sanctions and he was one of top 35 people in Russia who were named as being at the top in terms of oligarchs, and yet there didn't seem to be any mention of selling it, so I presume it was more of a PR stunt to kind of distance the club from him rather than anything else.
Would you support a decision to strip him of his ownership of the club?
I would. If I was a Chelsea fan, I'd probably want to as well. I think there's got to be people try and distance football and sport from politics, but I think at the end of the day, some things are more important than sport, and politics is something that everyone likes, and I think that's the type of thing that people in Russia might look at and think, oh, actually, yeah, maybe we should take notice. But yeah, so I'd be supportive of Chelsea fans, and I'd want the same in my club.
So presumably you don't think he should face any sort of sanctions given what's going on at the moment?
Well, I think he's done well by Chelsea and well by all the fans here. He's put a lot of money in. He's had unprecedented success. Why punish him? He's got nothing to do with what Putin is doing.
Well, there is a history of a relationship between the two of them, and I don't know whether you saw Chris Bryant's statement in the Commons last week, claiming he shouldn't be allowed to own Chelsea Football Club. Presumably, you would not support a decision to strip him of his ownership.
No, I wouldn't, because if you take if anyone doing business in Russia to say that they have some relationship with the government, it's impossible not to. But they don't get much in return. I mean, that's the nature of that society. Is if you're in business, you have to prevent the government taking everything away from you. But he's never been identified with, and I'm sure he actually doesn't approve of what's happening.
What did you make of his decision to hand stewardship and care of the club to the trustees of the foundation?
I think it's a positive move, bearing in mind the situation we've got existing in the Ukraine. I believe that he's done a good job for Chelsea. As a Chelsea supporter, I believe Abramovich has invested a lot of money over here, a lot of time, and that he's a passionate supporter of the club. So from that angle, I'm pro Abramovich.
Completely agree. He has put in a lot of money. He's brought a lot of success to this club. But given his relationship with Putin, would you support a decision for him to be stripped of his ownership of the club?
I don't think that we can strip ownership in this country. I think that you'll be going down the Russian route if you do take away people's personal goods and chattels. You'll be learning something from someone who has behaved in a very bad way, and you would just be following down his path. But I think what he's doing is the correct thing, if the charity will accept.
If he doesn't approve of what's happening, why do you think he made this statement on Saturday before Chelsea then made another one condemning what they called a conflict? Do you see there's a little bit of confusion there. It's a little bit.
I think he wanted to take himself out of the firing line and do what was best for the club, and I feel sorry for him because he's put a huge amount of money into this, and obviously a lot of love and care as well, really cares about it, and I don't think victimising private citizens is the way to go. If you want to punish policymakers, punish policymakers.
I thought it was very wishy-washy. I didn't think he sort of avoided the problems in Russia and things, and didn't mention it being a conflict rather than potentially a third world war in the world, which is terrible. And in my opinion, although I don't know Roman personally, I think he had something to do with Putin in the past, and they're very close, and I believe that's a very bad vision for Chelsea to look like that now with him in charge. And I think the best thing to do would be for him to set up, because as they say, there's no smoke without fire, right?
No, I'm not gonna say we should take the club from the Abramovich, because he did a very good job for the club. So we appreciate what he did. And about the trophies we get last few years, let's say from 2003 and until now, he did a great job for the club.
So you want him to sell the club because of his ties to Putin. Would you also support the decision to strip him of his ownership forcefully?
Absolutely, 100%. The amount of innocent Ukrainian people that are getting killed because of Putin's lunacy behaviour, the man's crazy since lockdown.
I don't know. I mean, legally, maybe that is a very difficult thing to do, because I think the whole Western system is based on a right of ownership, like guarantee to your property and all of that. So that might be something difficult to do. But then, if it is needed politically, then they have to do it. I think he handed over the guardianship because he felt that political need to do it, I guess. So he's been responsible, I guess. Yeah.
Well, of course, I'm appreciative of what Roman's done for the club. He's put us on the world map, for example. He's won us, 21 trophies in the last 15 years or something, which is unbelievable being a Chelsea fan. When I was young, that never happened to me. However, I think that judging by the nice person I am and my moral in life, hearing from my friends in Ukraine what's going on over there, and the amount of innocent people I read in the papers getting killed, I think everyone associated with Putin is disgusting.